All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem
Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace, love, and salutations to the members of the hopeful and sincere elect, beginning with the 144,000 chosen men, the prophets of the Lord, also unto the extra men, women, and children whom the Lord will have mercy on in these last days. Shalom be unto you. Two brothers again from Great Millstone in Trinidad, Brother
Kwana.
and myself, Kalab, to do this lesson. Lord willing, it's edifying. Right? I want to read this precept before I dive into it. This title is Operation Popeye or Hurricane Melissa. Many of you might not have heard of Operation Popeye, so I'm going to play a couple clippings and we're going to get into some precepts. And Lord willing, this one is edifying. 144. Right? It's Ephesians 2 and verses 1. It says, "And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience." Right? And the ones who are quickened, as those of us today in this truth, we have this lively hope. We are alive in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Knowing what's happening. As the scripture tells us, we are children of light, children not of darkness, right? And we have to watch and be sober, right? So watching what's happening today, we seen the devastation done by Hurricane Melissa. We are aware, that the Lord, he sends the plagues, as the scripture tells us. He sends the pestilences, the tempests. He visits the earth in such fashion, right? But the Lord also uses men, right? And hurricanes can also be constructed by men. There's the ability and technology that men have today, knowledge being increased. As the scripture says, Esau himself even given what the blessing of the sword, right? And working directly with that spirit, the prince of the power of the air, Satan, right? Fueling them to accomplish the things that they are accomplishing in these last days, right? So basically the title is a question: is it Operation Popeye or is it really Hurricane Melissa? Right? And this is what Operation Popeye is about. I'm going to play a couple clippings here. Listen up.
So let's talk about Jamaica and Operation, because I can't say it. The reason that being is that the United States has seen a 21% increase in the price of coffee, the highest in 14 years. And with this Melissa going by, well, there's a lot of military ships in yeah, you guessed it, just north of Venezuela. And Operation Popeye was intended in Vietnam. It was all because of coffee. Did you know that? And I'll tell you a reason why I know that. When Walter Cronkite in the 1960s told you about the Vietnam War, the next commercial that played after his broadcast was Nescafe, coffee. And if you go back and you follow the money, like we always do, if you follow the money, you'll know that Vietnam wasn't about the fucking Viet Cong in the north and the south. It was about coffee. In the 1970s, they were revamping the whole coffee market. And when that happened, that was why we have the Vietnam War. Breakfast became very important in the 1970s. They were fucking pushing breakfast, cereals, oatmeals, all the processed shit. And they had to fucking wash it down with something, right? And whatnot. Why not coffee? Because there was a lot of profit to be made. You paid the people pennies. Juan Valdez with his fucking donkey. Yeah. Paying them pennies on the dollar and then bringing it up here and selling it for US dollars. If you look at what's going on in Jamaica right now, Jamaica, one of its biggest exports, one of its most valuable exports is Blue Mountain coffee. And I'm not saying nothing about nothing, but you do your own research and figure it out and see if you agree with me that this Hurricane Melissa that's going through Jamaica, I think it's Operation Popeye at its best. You always, when you follow the money, who has the motive and who has the means, right? These are two most important things you should be asking yourself whenever you read any headline that you smell fishy. And this is one of those moments where, fuck, you don't want to believe it, but economically, it makes all the sense in the world. There you have it. Yo, let's talk about Jamaica and Operation.
Right, Operation Sober Popeye, Project Control Weather Popeye, it says here motor pool, intermediary compatriot, right, was a military cloud seeding project carried out by the US Air Force during the Vietnam War in 1967 to 1972. The highly classified program attempted to extend the monsoon season over specific areas of the Ho Chi Minh Trail in order to disrupt North Vietnamese military supplies by softening road surfaces and causing landslides. What was the purpose of Operation Popeye? Operation Popeye's goal was to increase rainfall in carefully selected areas to deny the Vietnamese enemy, namely military supply trucks, the use of roads by softening road surfaces, causing landslides along roadways, washing out river crossings. How long did it rain in the Vietnam War? It said the heavy rain season was already 6 months long, drenching the country in May to October. Right? Where is cloud seeding used in United States? Cloud seeding programs to boost both rain and snowfall are now underway in Texas, Utah, Colorado, Nevada, Idaho, New Mexico, and California. Cloud seeding can be done by ground generators, planes, or rockets. Right? And then they have an image here. And then also this plane here. Beach 18 used dry ice for cloud seeding in the early post-war era. Right? So they apart from the nuclear capability, as we've been saying, the prophets have been saying, they have the ability to do weather manipulation, to bring storms, to bring disasters, right? And it could be possible that that's what they've been using over there in Jamaica.
Yep.
Right? No coincidence, the devils they have their eyes set on the Caribbean, right? They have their eyes set on the oil, even the land space of Trinidad, right? And the oil of Venezuela. And now what we see in there, they attacking Jamaica, right? With their weather manipulation for that coffee, right? As the guy would have broken down the connection with the coffee and Vietnam War, and now Jamaica having one of the best coffees that is imported.
I just even check it out, and it's actually making up 80%, right? Over 80% of all Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee is exported to Japan. So America not getting a cut out of that. And being one of the most exotic coffees, meaning to say it's not bitter. It's not a bitter coffee. They have a flavorable taste. I just check it out on Wikipedia.
We can look up to how lucrative is the coffee industry or coffee sales in the world, around the world. How valuable is coffee? Right, so you can understand, why they'll be after, such substance, like they're after oil.
How valuable
is coffee.
Yes. Coffee. So coffee AI overview says coffee is very valuable and large global commodity, but is not the second most trade after but it is not the second most trade after oil. It is valuable. Its value is significant with a market worth over 100 billion.
Hmm.
That's a lot, and it is crucial for the economies of many developing nations, representing a large portion of their exports. However, the market is characterized by volatility and price fluctuations due to factors like supply and demand imbalance, climate change, and other environmental challenges.
Yeah, that's what we needed there. It's a billion-dollar enterprise basically. Having coffee. You understand? And as the brother mentioned there, beautifully true information received there. America has nothing to do or isn't getting a cut with the coffee that is manufactured in Jamaica
Jamaica.
and distributed to Japan, right? Which America has been against, dropping bombs on Japan, has seen them as one of their rivals, even so like China, which is their brother nation, we should say, Moab and Ammon, right, rivaling the US with resources, and products, right, and even weaponry today, right? So America, they're really looking to stamp their hegemony and to use their military might and even their weather technology to cripple nations today to have some form of supremacy still within their dollar and within their financial aspect. But
Mm-hmm.
America is going to go down.
Yep.
As written in prophecy, there's nothing you can do, weather manipulation, right, to gain some form of advantage and control. What's going to happen is that these nations that you're targeting, right, and trying to stop their business, their allies is going to step in. They're going to see you for who you are. They're going to call them the border of wickedness,
Wickedness.
as the scripture says, and they shall utterly burn her with fire.
And something to take into consideration, right? I just want to get something here. What ties does Jamaica have with the Dragon oil field in Venezuela? I just want to get some real quick, just to add to it too, because um, I just wanted to check something out because that's where my second. With Jamaica has no direct ownership. Ooh. So this, I just want to read this here really quick, right? AI overview says although Jamaica has no direct ownership or extraction rights in Venezuela's Dragon oil field, it has an indirect tie through a non-stalled agreement to receive natural gas.
Now stalled.
No stalled agreement to receive natural gas. Trinidad and Tobago, which shares a maritime border with Venezuela, was granted a U.S. license to develop the field and was obligated to supply a portion of the gas to Jamaica. But this is no more in effect, right? But Venezuela and Jamaica also have some sort of agreement because we had an amendment, right, or document signed with Jamaica to purchase oil from them. Now, where Jamaica was getting that oil from, right? The only place they could have get it from was Venezuela.
You could look it up. The way it is Jamaica.
And what I wanted to highlight too is that China have a lot of properties owned in Jamaica. So that's another reason for they using the project Popeye, right, on Jamaica, but ultimately it's judgment from the Lord. But the United States of America see how much of loose, right, that they no more controls the narrative in that land. So now we're gonna have to bring in disasters, and then we go bring in United Nations, and then we go step in, and then we go look to start to take control over again. But this is not the plan of the Lord, right? The plan of the Lord is to bring devastation through you, because you use the sword, right? Because many of them in that land have walked in great pride, right? And Yahweh Barashim Yahushua is saying, the cry of his servants, which I hear on the earth, sighing and crying for the abomination that be, right? I had a quick precept here before I check that out. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 12 and verses 16. It says, now therefore stand and see this great thing which Yahweh Barashim Yahushua will do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and he shall send thunder and rain, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You understand? I don't want to read the next part, but it was asking for a king. But the wickedness is great even in the land of Jamaica, right? Where there are many prophets also residing in that land, right? And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is getting ready, right? Or is already showing the great sign of judgment, right? Wind speeds up to 140 something miles per hour passing through. That is not no normal thing. That is like you driving at 150 miles per hour. That is a good amount of speed. And to prove that is a good amount of speed, right? From experience, if you put your hand outside the window while it's driving, you can feel how fast that invisible air is pushing back your hand. To keep your hand up against that force is not normal. And now we see the devastation. And this is the visitation of the Lord. Although they're using the project Popeye, but they are the sword. And there's judgment for Jakes, because a lot of them in great pride over in that land.
That's right. Other precept to this is Zechariah chapter 5. Right? Zechariah 5 and verses 1. It says, Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. Right? And why I'm going into this is because this here is dealing with the so-called UFOs, the unidentified flying objects, right? That a lot of people see in the air, the skies. Right? Now, we read initially the precept which said there's a prince of the power of the air. Right? A spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Right? Which is Esau Edom, right, fueled by the spiritual entity Satan, right, to perform these different techniques, I should say, or technologies and weaponry in the sky. Right? Now, ultimately, the king of the air is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Right? Esau is but just the prince of the power of the air. There's a king power of the air that has vehicles up in the sky that is set forth to also bring them down. Apart from the nuclear destruction, the chariots of the Lord will be here, right, to stop or disappoint, as the scripture says, disappoint all the devices of the crafty. Right? Reading on, it says, And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, for everyone that what stealeth shall be cut off according to it. And we went into lesson last night. The thief is a thief in the Caribbean. There's one who came to steal, kill, and destroy in the Caribbean here right now. Right? So the Lord is going to send forth his chariots to what? To cut them off. It says, And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. And I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. Right? In the house of the thief. Them chariots, the concentration of them is going to be targeting America. It says, And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. That's amazing.
Yeah, Jamaica does import from Venezuela of crude oil was US 28.94 million. Right? But what happened? America come and push sanctions on one of the pipelines from Venezuela that was going to Jamaica. Just goes to show that this devil already had his agenda.
That's right.
You know, and they sanctioned the pipeline because Jamaica also dependent on America too, nevertheless, right? Because a lot of the Caribbean islands, the archipelago, right? A lot of the Caribbean islands are highly dependent on Babylon.
That's right.
Right? That's the reason why they could make certain moves, especially Trinidad. But that doesn't change the fact that they're going to get judged.
That's right. And what they're looking to do there, we could see the agenda is to control the oil supply here in this hemisphere. Right? To combat or to give even power to the petrodollar, which will combat what the BRICS nations have intended. Because we heard talks or rumors, even articles concerning them coming out with their own dollar, right? The BRICS dollar, right? To combat the US dollar, right? And that in itself too is how to put it, is a psyop, if you could say, for lack of better terms, a psychological operation upon the people, because we know what their ultimate agenda is to do. It's not to really promote a dollar. Their agenda is to bring in a digital system,
That's right.
right? But the whole dollar wars and dollar or warfare for the strengthening of countries' money is just for the chaos that they would love to have, to bring in that new world order, spearheaded by their agenda, right, of a crypto or a digital currency being mandated around the four corners of the earth, right? Because they, to hell with the petrodollar. The elites not dependent on that for their totalitarian rule. What they're dependent on is the digital currency that is set for to come, right? So the chaos is necessary for their purpose, and that's what the scripture tells us. We are not ignorant of the devil's devices, because when it is a cripple a nation through sanctions, right, stopping at the oil, right, what you're gonna ultimately do is rise the cost of living, right? That's what happens. You rise the cost of living, you cause what you call hyperinflation, and with hyperinflation, people can't take care of themselves as they used to, right? The value of the money depleted, right? So there you have people, like you had pictures, right, with people with barrows, wheelbarrows of money, and the highest form of the money, as we have here, the hundreds, the blue ones, right? You have barrows of the blue ones very soon, and it ain't gonna be worth nothing, right? It's gonna just be good to either wipe your ass, right, or to burn at the fire, which today they ain't even making it with paper anymore. It's plastic, so that's gonna be a toxic fire, toxic burning. You understand? With what they call it, polymer notes.
Yep.
That's some.
Yeah, I just wanted to tap back into all wars are bankers wars, right? Because you better know highlighted, right? The BRICS have that placebo, that psyop, right? That make believe dollar that they're going to implement, but that is just to make the people feel some sort of comfort. But that is not where it's coming. Where it's coming is a digital system on the four corners of the earth, right? Because scripture say it causes all, both small, great, rich, poor, free, bond to receive that mark, and all wars are bankers wars, right? So I said, this is Grok, right? It says, who said all wars are bankers wars first, and why? It says the phrase all wars are bankers wars is most prominently associated with Michael Rivero, who uses as the title of his documentary in 2013 and related writings. Rivero, a radio host and a filmmaker, argued that many wars throughout history were driven by the interests of private central bankers seeking to impose debt-based financial systems on nations for profit. His work, including the 42-minute documentary, traced this claim from the American Revolution to modern conflicts, citing historical events and quotes to suggest that bankers manipulate wars to control national economies through debt, which you can see a lot of major countries in debt. Why?
Right.
To who?
Take clay.
To clay. And to who? To the elites.
Yeah.
It said, so like,
All the bankers. And that is to show you who's in rule.
that's to show you who's in rule.
Who's in rulership. That's why they even said, give me control of a nation's money.
And I
Right?
care
My
not.
Shell Bauer. Right? And even Nathan, he said it too. Right? I could something similar. Right? Rothschilds understand that the money who controlling the money is the people with the power. You understand? So they control the money. Right? So they're the ones in power. The scripture even tells us the borrower is servant to the lender. You understand? So they're lending all the money, they're giving all the loans, they control the IMF,
Yep. International Monetary Funding.
right? So they are the ones with the power, but the Lord said, woe unto you now, rich men, right? Because the elites, we're going to see them in the future is in chains, right? They have this plan to rule through their control of money, right? But the Lord is going to have them in derision very soon, right?
That's
The scripture
right.
said the rust of them shall be what? To their hurt, and it shall eat of flesh as it. That's James 5. I'll bring that out, but go ahead.
It says that's a meaty. It says war is a racket argued that wars permanently benefits corporate and financial elites, including bankers. Starting war is a racket. It is only one international scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and loss in lives. While Butler didn't use the exact phrase, his ideas resonate with reviewers' tissues and are often cried in related discussions. Another related statement appears in a quote attributed to Guttel Snatch Napa, wife of Meyer Amschel Rothschild, allegedly saying, "If my sons did not want wars, there would be none." This quote, often cited in discussions of banking influence on wars, lacks variability, historical documentation, and may be apocryphal,
Yeah, apocryphal.
apocryphal, but it reflects the idea that powerful banking families like the Rothschilds have historical influence conflicts for financial gain. So this just goes to show, that woman had to come up because she was in my mind. If my sons wanted no wars, there will be no wars. Which she's speaking about the banking family. They had 5 sons, right? And these 5 sons is the ones who were given central bank. Anyway, there's a central bank in a country, that means the elite control there.
That's right.
Right? The government and all these different things, they are just puppets. They are just puppeteers,
That's
right? And so like what?
The central bank right here has a chip in it on display.
That's
the
right.
museum of the central bank here, this little island has a chip on display. So we see that is a part of their plan. Revelation 13:16, John the Revelator saw it. Why is there a needle and syringe with a chip in their central bank on display? Because these are part of their plan. They are known as the piercing serpent. The
Yep.
prophets have been telling, we told you it. You understand? We emphasized it to you, and this way you need to recall. Right, and this way you're gonna come to understand. Like scripture say, Lord, when thy hand is lifted up, they shall not see, but they shall see. Right? They shall know that a prophet had been amongst them. Right? Telling them about the inner workings. And scripture talks about even in Psalm 64, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. Right? They have a secret counsel. They didn't want you to know that. They wanted to have it sneak up on you. Right? But the truth revealed them. Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua through his truth, as the scripture tells us, what we are not ignorant, lest Satan should have an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. The Lord didn't leave us in an ignorant state. The Lord gave us this knowledge, right? And then knowledge even beyond their agenda, which is knowledge tapped into what their future. As the psalmist said, until I entered into the sanctuary of the Lord, then understood I their end. So we know how it's going to even end. That whole microchip agenda is a failure. It's going to fail. Okay, the Lord has reserved 7,000 men who will not bow their knee to the image, right? Will not receive that mark. And then the Lord Yahushua, he's going to come, right? Before you could have his men branded or pierced. The Lord is not going to lay a pierce his virgin, right?
That's why the scripture highlights, the Lord has reserved 7,000 men, which have not bent their feet to the image of Baal. The Lord reserved men who have the eye salve, who are now able to stand upon the highways and the byways, and the scripture said to go in the gates of the nobles, right? The scripture even highlight there's a terrible song, right? There's a fearful song in the ears, and they're fearful because why? The thing about it is the normal average human being is not seeing through their wickedness, but we have the light. We shining through that wickedness and highlighting it.
That's right.
Putting it out there. All these different devices that they have, whether modification, HARP, Project Bluebeam, Popeye, CERN, all these different things that they have, we know about it. How we know? Because the Lord revealed it unto us.
That's right.
And that is why Nebuchadnezzar had to confess and said, surely there is a God in heaven that revealed dreams and secrets.
That's right.
There is nothing hidden from us, Esau. All your plans that you're doing, we understand who you are. You are the sword of the earth that the Lord is going to use to bring havoc, to bring destruction. And after you have fulfilled your lot that the Lord have presented or have orchestrated for you to fulfill, you're going to be destroyed.
That's right. There's James 5 and verse 1. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right? The rich men going into hell. I read that in or the parable, sorry, that the Lord gave in Luke 16, right? It talk about the rich man and Lazarus, and the rich man died and went into hell. He asked for that drip of water. That was a parable representing the lowest state that these rich men, the global elites, Esau, Edom by extension, will be brought down to.
That's right.
They're going to be brought into slavery, miseries, as the scripture just said there. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were with fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers, which is the wicked, every hand of the wicked, Job 20, right? Who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. The word is fraudulent, the financial system. As a fraudulent system. Crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, Lord Tazabawad, the Lord of hosts, Lord of armies, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right? So he's seeing all your dirty work, right? Seeing all your injuries and your devices, your operations, Operation Popeye, right? Whether manipulation, cloud seeding tactics to continue your robbery, your theft in the earth, right? But your riches are corrupt.
Your riches are corrupt.
Because the Lord said, what riches gotten by vanity shall be diminished.
Yep.
Right?
Because of, ill dealings, the kingdom shall be
Dated
translated
from one people to another.
Injuries gotten by
By
deceit.
deceit.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 9 and verses 13. It says, behold, you know what? I read from verses 12. It says that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen. Salakia. I'm going to start from verses 11. Right? It says, in that day will I rise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. And this is beautiful because when David tabernacle was alive, meaning to say when he was there in his regime, in his rule, right, he had the Edomites and garrisons.
That's right.
Right? And this was the scripture highlighting that the Lord is gonna build again the tabernacle of David, which is as in the days of old.
That's right.
It says, and unclose up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. So guess what? You rich men, howl and weep, because your misery is coming. You elites, right? You're going to be reserved for the top men of Israel. Starting with our apostles and the lesser great millstone.
Yeah.
You're going to be reserved.
Yeah, starting with our King David himself.
That's right.
Yahweh Shai, I should say. Yahweh Shai is going to be the biggest plantation slave owner.
That's right.
Right, in the kingdom to come. Owning the heathens. Like he did even when he was Solomon.
Yep.
Scripture said he had the heathens as his servants, right, as his slaves, and he didn't have his people as slaves unto him, right? But they were his princes, right? So it's the same thing going to be reestablished. The Lord's going to set up his people as princes on the earth. A king shall reign in righteousness, princes ruling in judgment, right? And the heathens in slavery. That is the kingdom to come. That is the gospel truth right there for you. Good news for us, bad news for them.
That's right.
Get some more?
Yeah. That they may possess the remnant of Edom.
That is it.
And of all the heathen which are called by my name, say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that doeth this.
And that goes in not just to possessing them as in the people of Edom, but also their land.
Yep.
Right? Because they ain't going to have any land in their possession. As Obadiah tells us, they of the south shall possess what the remnant of Edom. Right? They of the south being what? Judah. Right? Of the southern kingdom. Right? Which goes into also Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which I believe speak as a man through the Spirit, because Levi was not given any portion of land to inherit based upon their portion as the priests, right? But then now the Lord says now change the order from a Levitical order to a Melchizedek order, when now we are kingdom of priests.
That's right.
So Levi has to get a portion of land now in the kingdom.
Yep.
So that portion that is taken from Esau, I believe speak as a man that will be given to Levi as their portion, right? They of the south, because Levi is of the southern kingdom as well, right?
It says, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed, And the mountain shall drop down sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt.
That's it.
And this is a hill melting because that sweet wine is this doctrine.
That's
And
right.
these hills melting because why? The scripture said in First Thessalonians, right? We're gonna consume it with the Second Thessalonians, Sawana.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be consumed with what? The spirit of the Lord's mouth, and then with the brightness of his coming. And who is the Lord's mouthpiece? The prophets. You understand? So you're being
Them by the
consumed.
prophets.
He's hewn them by the
The
prophets.
prophets, that's right.
You're being hewn right now, and right now your mountain is beaten into small pieces because what we're speaking is a fearful thing into the ears of you, letting you know that with all these atrocities and wicked sorceries that you have practiced upon the face of the earth, your dwelling time has come to an end.
That's right.
It's right now you're getting the eviction notice.
Ooh, that's it. It's the book of Job as we close here. Job chapter 20. Right, Job, the 20th chapter, and reading at verses. I start at verse 20. It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked, which goes into what word here? Amal, which means laborer. Right, brother just read the precept. I read it also in James 5. The laborers or the plowmen overtaking the reapers. Right, that's us, that's Jake. It says, shall come upon him. It says, when he's about to fill his belly, power shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. That is nuclear destruction. It says, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him true. No getting away. No matter if you run and hide, you're going to be dealt with. Your judgment is set. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, that is nuclear missile coming out of its silo. Yea, the glittering sword, nuclear missile, cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. Terrors are upon him. It says, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places. If fire not blown shall consume him, it shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Alright, so it's gonna go ill with him. So, and no, it's well deserved. Because look at what he's doing to nations joyfully through his technology. Right? So you taking pleasure in using your wisdom, your Operation Popeye, your vessels of warfare, right? Against nations. The Lord is gonna take pleasure in using his against you. Go ahead.
This is the book of James, right? Because as I make mention of that, you know, in his sight, right, he have no mercy in his heart, right? Because people dying off of these actions. You understand? I mean, we already know that it's judgment from Yahweh Basham Yahushai, but he have no remorse, right? He have no remorse. Says James chapter 2. So James chapter 2. This is James chapter 2 and verses 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy, that had showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So that is what is coming for you. Because you're going, Lord willing, you understand? We part of the Lord elect, and we make it into the kingdom. You're going and beg and plead for you to show mercy unto him. But it's no mercy for you.
That's right.
None.
So with that, we give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations to the Lord's elect. The brothers from Great Millstone, Trinidad, saying keep feeding your faith, starve it out to death, stay strong. Shalom, Labakariam, Shalom to the elect.
Shalom to the elect.